Hey, what's up, everybody? I want to welcome you to another episode of the Dreamers Pro Daily Recap, where we give you a recap of all of the hot topics that we covered that day. You can catch them in their long format and also catch it fully streaming for free on Apple Podcasts. So, as y'all know, LeBron has been called many things. But one of the things that a lot of us call him when we like to make fun of him is Mr. Cap himself, right? Mr. Captain America. This dude is always lying. And it's something that even himself, he alluded to in the recent interview that he did on Complex, where he's like, everybody's saying LeBron is always lying. So he knows, right? And LeBron just be lying for nothing, man. LeBron be lying like as if it's a sport. Like the dude, I'm like, bro, you too rich to be doing this, man. Like he was, I predicted Kobe would score. Like it's just one thing after the other. But for those of you who remember, back in the late like 2011, 12, whatever, there was a story that LeBron James there was a potential that he could play for an NFL team as a tight end, right? And he there was a possibility that he could have been recruited, right? And of course, this to the ears of LeBron fans, they love it. Oh my God, they love. Even one of the people that responded to the post we're going to play for you guys in a little bit, this guy wrote, LeBron James could have been the greatest tight end in NFL history. Jesus. I'm even sure if they said LeBron used to run track and field, if he focused on it, he'll be faster than Usain Bolt. I mean, these guys, what wouldn't they say? Right? So what happened? I came across this sound that was sent to me by a few people from Breakfast Ball on FS1. And it's featuring Greg Carton. And in this clip, Greg Carton is essentially calling LeBron James a world-class liar. Take a listen to the sound.
LeBron James is great, isn't he? He has this, he views himself differently than everyone else in the world views himself.
Yeah.
And he's now pretty much an admitted world-class liar. LeBron James in his prime, which he was in 2010, as one of the 5 best basketball players on the planet back in 2010, was contemplating leaving the NBA to go play, I guess, tight end for Seattle. And he's claiming that Pete Carroll offered him a roster spot to play football. So in other words, the biggest flopper in basketball, when you breathe on him, he falls down, was going to leave the NBA, where he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, to go play football because Pete Carroll offered him the opportunity. It's like when the New York Mets had Garth Brooks out there for spring training to take a couple at-bats in March.
Yeah.
They weren't offering Garth Brooks a job to make it on the final roster, nor was Pete Carroll offering this clown a chance to play football for the Seahawks. But in his mind, if I say it, it must be true. Come on, man.
So you heard what Greg had to say. What are my thoughts about this? He brought up a point, which was the flopping. And I think is a valid point. If you watch LeBron play, LeBron is what? 6'8", 6'9", 260, 70 pounds, so I've heard. If you even bump into LeBron, he's on the floor. There are times you can like run into LeBron and hit him like on his shoulder. He'll fall on the ground and start holding his head. LeBron flops so much. There's even a video of him laying on the ground playing peekaboo with the cameras to see if the referees are paying attention. It's that bad. His flopping has become so disgusting that even when he went on the Pat McAfee show to go at Stephen A. Smith, go at Brian Windhorst, Pat McAfee even brought it up as a joke, like, bro, why are you always flopping? Why are you always flopping? So you take a guy that's a master flopper, all right? Like master flopper. You're now telling me that first he could have played in a more physical era where you ain't got to flop because they actually hit your ass. Like there's no flopping involved. When you go flying that way, that means you actually got hit. But to make it even worse, y'all are saying that dude can play in the NFL? The only time I've ever heard LeBron not complain about contact was when he was delivering it by bulldozing over guys going to the cup. Any other occasion than that, LeBron is always screaming and hollering and flailing. I mean, even I'm sure even to his fans, it must be embarrassing. Like you see him on the ground, he's on his knees. There's the one that happened, I think, was it last year or the year before that, when they were playing against the Boston Celtics, and Jason Tatum was driving towards the baseline, and he didn't even touch LeBron. If you saw that flop, you would have thought somebody Shirayukin LeBron James. Literally. The way he flopped, I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. Then let's get to the next part. Beyond the flopping, the tantrum throwing when he doesn't get calls. LeBron would be looking like he about to burst into tears. Oh my God. You're gonna do that in the NFL? In football? Football. Where the whole name of the game is flopping? Getting hit? Where the whole name of the game is there's a chain of command with the coach? You're going to go be doing now. Obviously, you have guys in the NFL that act up on the sideline, knock over water coolers and all whatever it is. But that's not the culture of the NFL. And let's just face it, guys. NFL, you have to have a totally different mindset to play football than you do to play basketball. Like, let's knock it off. You have to have a totally different, not to say that basketball is not its own discipline and you don't need mental tough. It's a totally different thing. Football, you've already come to terms that you're going to get hit hard. And you're okay with that. You already come to terms you could get a concussion. You've already come to terms you could break bones. And you have to do it over and over. You could break fingers. It is what it. That's a totally different mental disposition. It just is. It's like becoming a boxer, bro. You have a totally different mindset, right? And nothing about LeBron's behavior over the last 20 plus years has exhibited that he even has that type of mental makeup to go play football. Like, come on. And to me, I think it's disrespectful to just say you can just airdrop somebody into a particular sport and all of a sudden they're going to be the top 10 greatest. Like, come on, knock it off, man. Like, give those guys in that field, give them a little bit more credit. Like, Jerry Rice is good for a reason, right? And you just can't pluck any NBA player and say, oh, you put him over there, he would have been Jerry. Like, knock it off. Tom Brady was Tom Brady. Joe Montana was Joe Montana. Like, let's knock it off. Let's stop with the Final Fantasy talk and the Book of Narnia talk, and let's get over that. And essentially, what Craig is saying is like, son, just be lying for no damn reason. And he know. His supporters know. There was a video, I think, of him and son getting a tattoo, and somebody put a caption, why LeBron always lying? He's not even touching the screen. There was a picture of him like scrolling through his phone. He's not even touching the screen. I'm like, yo, what is the purpose of this behavior? What is the need for this, man? Come on, man. You're better than this. You're better than this, LeBron. But yesterday, we produced some LeBron videos because we like to talk about LeBron and have his supporters come to our channel and tell us how tired they are of us talking about LeBron. For the love of me, I just don't understand. You guys keep complaining about the fact we talk about LeBron so much, and every single day you guys are back here complaining about. I don't know why you choose to watch and complain. I don't understand. I don't understand it. But anyway. We did a show yesterday reacting to some comments that General Manager Rob Pelinka had to make in terms of the future of LeBron James, right? With the Lakers. He said that essentially it's up to him to make his decision, right? And the Lakers are essentially waiting for him to make his decision. Obviously, you guys know that he's going into his 23rd year in the NBA. Now, going into this offseason, or rather before the season ended, something took place, which was the Lakers getting sold, right, for $10 billion. But one of the things we didn't foresee happening was a situation in which LeBron would not return as a Laker. And that's essentially what happened. We even did a live about it, or show a live about it the other day, saying where the Lakers apparently made it clear to him that they're not going to extend him. And I think by the Lakers not extending LeBron, they really threw a wrench in his retirement plans, because I think prior to that, LeBron had plans for playing at least a few more years. But given the fact that the Lakers have decided that they're no longer willing to continue on with him, It now put him in a situation where he's forced to make a decision. It's either he makes this year his last year, or he plays out the final year with the Lakers and then he goes elsewhere. And this becomes problematic because when you're a player of that stature, you generally want to end things in a calm way. And we've never seen a top 10 guy, I mean, I don't remember, but like in this case, like a LeBron, where the last year of his career, he plays it somewhere else and then gets a retirement tour, right? It just, we didn't envision it going down this way. I think all of us thought LeBron James was going to retire as a Laker. So something interesting occurred. We were going through the internet yesterday looking for what to talk about, and an article popped up from Basketball Network, and it had the following headline saying, "He doesn't want to be like Michael Jordan on the Wizards. NBA executive says LeBron James won't just leave LA for any team because he cares about narratives." Let's read on. With LeBron James playing on an expiring contract, many wonder if he'll finish his career in Los Angeles. James activated his $52 million player option to return to the Los Angeles Lakers for the 2025-26 campaign. But with no deal after this next season, some say he could leave at the end of the season or even ask to be traded or ask for a trade during. However, according to a reporter from Bleacher Report, it won't be easy for James to leave the Lakers because he is firmly planted in Tinseltown. Still, if he decides to leave, most agents and executives believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers are the only team he is considering. If he wants to do a farewell tour like Kobe did, it's the only other team that makes sense, said an executive. LeBron cares about narratives. He doesn't want to be like Michael Jordan on the Wizards. And then the article then goes on to say a few other things there. What are my thoughts about this, folks? Do you know why I brought up the fact about LeBron James fans coming to our shows every single day complaining about the fact that we talk about LeBron so much? The irony in all of that is these guys are obsessed, including their leader, are obsessed with Michael Jordan. No group of fans spend more time arguing this GOAT debate than LeBron James fans. No other group. I haven't heard any other superstar in the history of the NBA spend as much time on the GOAT debate like LeBron, to the point where he himself has gone out there on various occasions and basically alluded to the fact of why he believes he's a GOAT. He even said it in 2006. That right there, this is something that this guy obsesses over, and his fans obsess over. They obsess over it. What does the way Michael Jordan retired have to do with the way you're retiring? You don't want to go out like Mike. Okay. Who had a better closeout to their career than Michael Jordan? Michael Jordan's career, when it ended with the Chicago Bulls, was so spectacular that people don't even think about the Wizards. They don't even think about it. His career, the way he ended it with the Bulls, and we saw this chronicled in the Last Dance docuseries, it was so spectacular and remarkable and stellar that we don't even care about what he did with the Wizards. We don't. The other reason most people don't care about the Wizards is because we already saw what Jordan was in his prime. So we obviously understood the fact that him coming to play for the Wizards at 38 and 39 on a bad team, people didn't have these out-of-world expectations. But do you know that the last year that Jordan played on the Wizards, just to put things into context, do you know that Jordan helped lead that Wizards team to a better regular season record than the Los Angeles Lakers did when they had LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis? Are you aware of that? That Wizards team finished with a better record than that Lakers team? Are y'all aware of that? I know some people are. Most of these LeBron fans aren't. The point I'm trying to make is, however LeBron decides to end his career, it has nothing to do with Michael Jordan. It's not a reflection in Jordan. Nobody's going to say, oh, well, LeBron did this, Jordan didn't do. Nobody thought that. The same way when Kobe ended his career with that 60-point outing, nobody said, oh, man, Jordan. I didn't even think of Michael Jordan in that moment. It was a moment that was for Kobe. But these guys are always thinking in terms of how do the decisions that we make compare to the decisions that MJ made. What kind of obsession is that? Do you realize Jordan fans spend zero time talking? The only thing that made Jordan fans come out in against LeBron fans is when they stood up and started pushing this agenda of, oh, LeBron is the GOAT, or he's on. That's what caused them to come out. Otherwise, they had nothing to do with LeBron James. No Jordan fans were making they had nothing to do with them. And then the irony is these guys run around and spend their entire lives running to people's channels asking, oh, man, why are you talking about LeBron? Ask your king, why is he obsessed with Michael Jordan? When is enough enough? Why does everything have to do with what Michael Jordan did? That already lets you know who the greatest player is. I mean, if you spend your entire life basically trying to go after that guy, it's clear that guy was better than you. As you guys know, the season is about to start in the next few weeks here. And this year, the NBA is going to be introducing yet again another format to try to salvage what's left of the NBA All-Star Game. This year is supposed to be USA versus the world. I still don't understand how it's going to work. I think ultimately I'll understand how this thing works once the game commences. The question is, why are they doing this? Well, the reason they're doing this, and the reason they've been doing the things that they've been doing over the last few years, is because we have been witnessing the worst ratings in terms of viewership in the NBA All-Star Game over the last few years. I mean, this is the lowest point. Like, the NBA has hit rock bottom with some of the ways that they've been going about doing their thing in terms of the leadership from Adams. I mean, it's really bad. But it's not just on the commissioner, although he plays a major role. It's also on the elder statesmen of the NBA. And I said this before. How is it possible that you can have all-star games with LeBron James, Kevin Durant, and Stephen Curry, who these guys are the elder statesmen of the NBA, and we're witnessing some of the most disgraceful basketball ever, to the point where former Denver head coach Mike Malone, former championship head coach, said after he coached the All-Star Game, this is the worst basketball game I have ever seen in my life. This is where we are with this current crop of NBA talent. So I was just combing through the internet and I came across a report here that features some comments that former Michael Jordan's teammate Scottie Pippen had to make. And you guys know Scottie Pippen every now and then can make headlines for some of the things that he says in the media, especially as it relates to Michael Jordan. So this article had the following headline saying, Scottie Pippen believes new blood is needed to save the All-Star Game. And I'm like, let's see what he said. So let's get into what this article said here. The NBA All-Star Game has long been one of the league's marquee events, but in recent years, its reputation has taken a major hit. Once viewed as a showcase of competitiveness and pride, it has gradually turned into a highlight reel scrimmage with little defense, minimal intensity, and veterans simply going through the motions. According to Scottie Pippen, the solution is not to keep tinkering with the format, but to bring in new blood, to restore the fire that made the game special in the first place. In a recent interview with Marca, the Chicago Bull legend didn't hold back. I just think they have to bring in new blood. The players who have been repeating as all-stars for 17, 18, or 20 years are guys who don't want to be there anymore, and that hurts the game. If they bring in new blood and let young players go, I think you can get a competitive game. For Pippen, the issue isn't about whether Team USA faces the world, the new format for 2026, but about effort. He believes veterans like LeBron James, Stephen Curry, and Kevin Durant, as great as they are, simply don't approach the All-Star Game with the same competitive spirit that players of his era did. Stop the damn article. Has nothing to do with his era. It's not just Scottie Pippen's era. This ain't about nothing about no old head, because I know that's where we're going. These old heads ain't got nothing to do with no old heads. And first of all, let me say this. If you're in your late 20s and you're in your early 30s calling people old head, you a bozo. Like, you a bozo. Like, knock it off. You're not a baby anymore. I think some of y'all are still trying to hold on to like your teenage years. Like, you're like, grow out of that, bro. Like, if you're in your late 20s, early 30s, talking about, or your 30s, talking about old heads, you need to knock that off. Like, knock it off, right? Let me say this. It's not just about Pippen's era. It's even about the era after Pippen. The players like the players from Allen Iverson's era, Kobe, Shaq, these guys, like, those guys left a foundation for the NBA that the new crop of guys came in and absolutely disintegrated. And I hold it at the feet of LeBron, Curry, and KD. Yes, it's not just about putting up great numbers. It's not just about going out there and performing for your team. It's also about setting a standard for generations after you to try to reach. Where's the bar? There is no bar. This is the problem when older guys try to assimilate with younger guys. This is the problem, because now there's no leadership. Who's leading who? Who's leading who? This is the problem. This is the problem. The older cats like the KDs and these, they didn't set a standard. You think that if Kevin Durant or Stephen Curry or LeBron James barked at these guys in a huddle or wherever, you think they wouldn't listen to them? Of course they would. Do you know why? Because these players respect what they did. And more importantly, these younger guys got to see more of them than they saw of the Jordans. How do we know? Listen to the ignorant ass comments that Anthony Edwards made. That Jordan was the only guy that was skilled in his era. Or Kobe, and like, that explains it all. So they only know what these guys have done, which means that they would be even more open to hearing what they have to say and following their examples. But what has happened is they're following their example, and their example has been just everybody just focus on their brand, focus on yourselves, and that's it. That's it. And this is the reason we are where we are. It's the reason we are where we are. The current crop of men in the NBA are not leading anymore. They're just all young ends, everybody together. Old ends, young, and they all won. And this is the problem. People keep talking about old heads like that's something bad. Like, I'm confused with you dudes, bro. I'm lost with you dudes. Y'all talking about old heads like that's something wrong. You got it twisted. In reality, nobody checking for the young. Like, let's keep it. I don't know who be informing you dudes. And y'all listening to old heads deceive you that want to still be young ends. What are we talking about here? The older guys are the ones that are more desired at every level. Even by women. You think women are running after 20 years, 20-year-olds, 25-year-olds, 30-year-olds? No. They're going after men. When do men hit their peak? When do men hit their final? Like, where y'all be lit? Like, who be teaching y'all the game? Who be teaching y'all the game? I'm lost. I'm looking up to dudes in their 50s and their 60s just balling out of control. Tony Alumelu, Otedola, Magic Johnson, Jordan. I'm not looking up to no young, like, who told you guys this? Oh man, and this is the problem. Because now when being a mature man turns into an old head, then you can no longer have guidance. This is the problem. This is why all of these suck ass be misleading y'all. This is the reason why most of y'all the way y'all are. They're making it, they're trying to stigmatize older men who have more experience, who have more world knowledge, who have more money than you, who've gone farther than you, traveled more than you, that can teach you. They've now made it seem like everything that comes out of their mouth is hating. So who's leading who? Who's your mentor? Who are you looking up to? Who? This is the problem. And these older guys are dum-dums. Because they don't stand for nothing. They're not leading nobody. I'm saying it. You dudes is clowns. Straight up and down. Y'all are clowns. If you in your 30s, mid-30s, going to your 40s, talking about old head, you're a bozo. Because you have not embraced being a mature man yet. You're holding on to still being a young boy. What's the shame in being a grown-ass man? What's the shame in it? You should take pride in it. What are we talking about? I take more pride being 38 than I do when I was 26. I take pride in paying school fees, paying for bills, taking my family on vacation. I take pride in that. I don't look at it as, I'm a man. I take it. I embrace it. And you got all of these lame around talking about, these old heads. Like as if y'all saying something. These dudes don't even have mentors. They don't even have respect. You can tell they talk about adults. I'm sorry, but like enough of this clown stuff. Are you joking? You think I'm looking up to dudes in their 30s and their 20s? Are you even serious? Why would I look up to somebody in their 20s and 30s when I'm already in my 30s and I'm past my 20s? I'm trying to figure out how the hell does Akeem Olajuwon be worth hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions in his 50s? How did Magic Johnson go from making $25 million an NBA player to now being a billionaire shooting basketball in his yacht in the south of Italy? In the Mediterranean. But you got these dumb man, these old heads. Okay. Ask yourself when you finish the show, do I have a mentor? Am I looking for a mentor? Who do I look up to? This means you can't have nobody lead you. You can't have nobody advise you. This is stupidity. It's a stupid mindset. Stupid. Even when Magic Johnson finished the NBA and he wanted to get into business, he looked for those that were older than him, that had more experience than him. Leave it to these young dumbasses. They will, just do it to yourself, man. Just leave it to yourself. Now, older, mature men that are doing well, killing the game, the richest men in the world, who do you think they are? 20-year-olds and 30-year-olds? Who are you deceiving? They got you thinking that those guys, they're old, so what they say doesn't matter. All of you dudes in your late 20s and early 30s, if you're talking like you're a bozo and you're immature and you're afraid of embracing your age and embracing being no longer in high school or in college, it's over. You're a man now. Get over it. You're a man. There's nothing wrong with being a man. There's nothing wrong with it. Absolutely nothing wrong. If your uncle come up to you and be like, yo, you're doing this, you're doing it, it's okay to listen to what he has to say because he's been further than you. This is the problem. About 4 or 5 days ago, we produced a show that was centered on the controversy surrounding what Michael Wilbon of ESPN had to say on PTI. As it pertains to what the news of Bruce Pearl, the basketball coach, ultimately retiring. He made some comments and various people went at him. We did a show about it. People reacted to it. The show did very well. Excellent. I thought we were done with the story. So today I woke up and I was looking for what to talk about. And I saw a clip that was going pretty viral of Craig Carton of FS1 absolutely going to town on Michael Wilbon. And I immediately said to myself, what is going on here? I thought we were done with this story because initially when we produced that show, we even did the reaction from various conservative commentators and voices responding to what Wilbon had to say, and we did a breakdown to kind of chronicle the story so people would understand it to the best of our abilities. But apparently, Craig Carton just turned up the temperature in the room. He just took it to the next level, to the point where he's now saying that ESPN should fire Michael Wilbon, right? So I then clicked on the video to hear what he was saying, and I'm like, okay, this thing is now going in a totally different direction. And the things that Craig are talking about here are pretty severe. Like, these aren't like play comments. And he started to talk about bring the hostages home and all that. I'm like, what is he talking about? Because apparently Bruce Pearl had made some comments about bringing. I'm like, so I began to do some research to just try to understand what he was talking about. And apparently Bruce Pearl in a press conference, I don't know if it was a press conference where he was announcing that he was no longer going to be coaching, but he brought up some comments about hostages being held and for them to be released. And apparently what Craig is saying is that Michael Wilbon is against that, and to take it a step further, he's anti-Semitic. And I'm like, whoa, this thing is getting very, very ugly. So what we want to do is, before we get into what Craig said, I want you to listen to the comments that Craig believes Michael Wilbon was alluding to. Take a listen to what Bruce Pearl had to say about the hostages. Take a listen to that.
I get asked a lot how this basketball program has become so competitive over the last 8 years. You're looking at the reasons right here. But for me, I believe it was God's plan to give us this success beyond what we deserve, to give us this platform, to give me an opportunity to just start this press conference really briefly and remind the world that Eden Alexander is still held hostage in Gaza right now. An American held hostage. And there aren't enough people in this country that know his name. So I asked the players if it was okay if I started out this press conference and just called out the name of an American. Bring the hostages home.
Fantastic. So you heard what Bruce had to say. Now we want to play what Craig Carton had to say, and I want you guys to listen to it because a lot of it keeps referencing what Bruce Pearl just said here, right? I want you guys to keep that in the back of your mind of what Bruce just said while you're listening to Greg Carton just absolutely go off on Michael Wilbon. Take a listen to Craig Carton here.
What could have possibly happened for Michael Wilbon to announce to millions of people in America that Bruce Pearl is divisive? Because that's a negative. That's putting a guy down. It's taking a shot at a guy. And I bring you back to March when Auburn was on a great run to their second Final Four in 6 years. He's the greatest coach Auburn's ever had in basketball.
For sure.
Winningest coach over the last 11 years. And he came out at a press conference when they won their Sweet 16 game to advance to the Elite Eight. And he said, before I say what I want to say, I want to let you know that I asked my team, the players on my team, permission to do this. I wanted to make sure my team was okay with what I'm about to do. And they all told me, Coach, go do it. And what he did was he went at used the platform of an NCAA press conference to make people and encourage people to remember that there were still hostages in Gaza. Bruce Pearl's a Jewish American.
Right.
Obviously, there's a greater sensitivity for Jews based on what's going on out there. He said, I want to make sure everybody remembers Eden Alexander, an Israeli American who at the time was being held hostage. And I made sure my team was okay with it. I asked their permission. The period, stop.
Right.
That's the only thing this is about. So Michael Wilbon finds that to be divisive. Well, shame on you, Michael Wilbon. I don't know that you're an anti-Semite, but you sound like one. Am I being responsible if I accuse you of being one? Because you said that a head coach using his platform to remind people of hostages being held in a foreign land is divisive? When he took the temperature of his own locker room first and asked his players for permission? How is that divisive? Just come out and say it. You hate Trump. He loves Trump. So he's being divisive to your way of thinking. He wants people to remember the atrocities that are happening in Gaza and get our own citizens and all the hostages home. You clearly don't agree with that stance, and I suppose you'd rather they stay there and be brutalized because that, according to you, is somehow divisive. And to make it the comment in the smug manner you made it, and then have your lapdog sitting next to you, and Tony Kornheiser, who has nothing at all to say in retort to that comment about Bruce Pearl being divisive and hoping that he got fired. Well, shame on you, and shame on Tony Kornheiser for not standing up to you. And that's what's dangerous about this. We all have opinions. It's our job to give you our opinions. But when you attack a human being with no basis at all, and you're letting your own social views and thoughts and opinions and your political thoughts and opinions now color the way you talk about a different individual, and that individual doesn't have a chance to stand up for himself or defend himself, and you give no context at all to the word divisive, that's dangerous. And if ABC's pulling people off the air like Jimmy Kimmel, maybe they should consider pulling Michael Wilbon off the air. Because what Michael Wilbon did yesterday on PTI, in my opinion, as gross as what Jimmy Kimmel said about Charlie Kirk was, what Wilbon did is worse. Because it's unchecked. There's no context to it. And you're talking about a man who has dedicated his life to educating and coaching young people, predominantly African Americans who happen to play basketball.
Yeah.
All right? And he asked his team for permission to say what he said. And if he was so divisive on the campus of Auburn, I ask you this. Why is Auburn keeping him on the payroll as a consultant? Why is Auburn giving his son a 5-year contract to become their new head coach? It doesn't jive. So again, if you hate his politics, be honest with the audience and tell them that. If you don't want the hostages released, be honest and tell your audience that. If you're anti-Semitic, which you sound like you are, be honest and tell your audience that. But don't attack a man without giving him either the proper context to why you're attacking him or your audience some context to why you took the veiled shot. Bruce Pearl deserves better. And we collectively, as an audience, deserve better than you. You are not, even though you want to be, the self-appointed czar of morality and broadcasting and sports. Get off your high horse and look in the mirror once in a while.
Excellent. So you heard what Greg had to say there. Now, here's where things become a little bit convoluted and confusing. Okay. Wilbon has been making all kind of headlines after the things he said on PTI, right? And I believe that he was responding to some of the things that Bruce Pearl said. But what we want to play now is we want to play what Michael Wilbon had to say initially on PTI that really kick-started this entire thing. Take a listen to Wilbon here.
Happy trails to coaching for Bruce Pearl. The Auburn coach is stepping down to become an ambassador for the athletic department. In his place, the school gave a 5-year deal to his son, Stephen. Pearl is 65. He has had terrific teams at Milwaukee, Tennessee, and Auburn, which made the Final Four last season and in 2019. His decision comes about a year after Tony Bennett did the same thing at UVA. Pearl said he will not run for the U.S. Senate, something that had been rumored.
Tony, he become a divisive person, it seems to me, intentionally, and I hope there was pressure to just get him out.
Really?
Yeah,
I always liked him. He was such a great guest. Yeah, we're on the other side on him.
Now, here's the part where it gets confusing. And I think some people are going to get confused. Some people may believe that Wilbon, those comments were in response beyond the news of him no longer being a coach, but a response to what he had to say about the hostages. But in fact, that's not what he was responding to. What had happened was Bruce Pearl had done an interview on Outkick, where he was talking about how divisive former President Barack Obama was, and how people that don't like always saying America's bad and all of that. So I believe this is what Wilbon was talking about, because even in this sound that we're going to play for you, he's talking about division. So what I want to do is play what Pearl said on Outkick that I think really is what Wilbon was talking about. Take a listen to his comments there.
I get so frustrated when I hear what a terrible country we are, how racist we are, how this is not the land of opportunity for everybody. Look, we've got a lot to work on, and there's racism that absolutely does exist, and it's wrong. But it's a lot better for my players than it was for their fathers or for their fathers' fathers or their fathers' fathers. And so I want my guys to recognize there are going to be obstacles, but not roadblocks. And that's what Barack Obama did. However, as our president, other than just love listening to him talk because he's such a great orator, I disagree with so many of his policies. I thought in so many ways, rather than uniting us as a country, even by race, he divided us. Everything was black and white. Everything was the obstacles that were against my players from being successful. I'm trying to teach my guys, look, I don't want you working at Subway. I want you owning 5 of them. And that's possible. And I think in many ways, Barack Obama told a different story. So it's hard to criticize him, though, because you get a lot of feedback that's really, really negative. My point on Obama the last time was this. He was calling on Israel for a ceasefire. He was calling on Israel to stop the war. He was calling on Israel, to release the hostages. And I'm like, dude, they're not the ones holding the hostages. They didn't start this war. The war and the violence and all the atrocities that go on both sides of the war end the minute that Hamas surrenders, releases the hostages.
Now, I want to now give you guys the background of those comments that Pearl just made on Outkick. I know this is confusing, but we gotta give you guys the full picture here. So essentially what had occurred was former President Barack Obama went on his Twitter and he posted towards the end of July the following, which I want to read for you. While a lasting resolution to the crisis in Gaza must involve a return of all hostages and a cessation of Israel's military operations, these articles underscore the immediate need for action to be taken to prevent the travesty of innocent people dying of preventable starvation. That's what President Obama said. Bruce Pearl then went under that post the day later and responded. The original post by Obama got 20 million views. Pearl's post got a few 100,000 views. Now let me read what Bruce Pearl said in response to President Obama. He said the following: "You gave billions to Iran and Hamas, creating this mess, and not one word from you calling for them to release the hostages, surrender, and end the war. Tell Hamas to 1, quit stealing and reselling aid, 2, stop attacking GHF workers who are feeding Gazans, and 3, leave and end suffering." Now, those were Bruce Pearl's comments in response to what Obama said, which kind of tie in to what he said on Outkick, right? Now, remember, he brought up the word the term about the talk about Obama being divisive on Outkick, right? Now, I want to get to an article to just quickly go over the backlash that Wilbon received over some of the things that he said. Is this from Yahoo? It says, Bruce Pearl facing serious backlash for divisive Barack Obama claim. Auburn basketball coach Bruce Pearl is under fire because of something he said about former President Barack Obama a few days ago. Last week, Pearl ripped Obama for sharing a New York Times article about children starving in Gaza. The outspoken coach made it clear he doesn't want to hear Obama's viewpoint about the crisis in the Middle East. He then went on to say, what is it? The comments, the things that he said. Now, what then happened after was Wilbon made those comments. And then what happened after that was people on the right started going after Michael Wilbon. I want you guys to follow this closely. They started going after Michael Wilbon because of the things that he was saying on PTI. Now, I want to read from this article. It says, right-leaning sports pundits up in arms over ESPN's Michael Wilbon celebrating retirement of divisive basketball coach Bruce Pearl. Now, I want to read some of the things. There's some of the people that disagreed with Wilbon and what they had to say. Now, let's get to one of them here. One person says, this is from Dave Portnoy. He says, what an idiotic comment from Wilbon. Kornheiser shouldn't have rolled over. Apparently, Wilbon only likes athletes/coaches who speak on social issues if they align with his views. Otherwise, you are divisive. What a narrow-minded, small view. Now, I believe Dave Portnoy must not have been aware of what Bruce Pearl said on Outkick. Let's get to the next commentator, Clay Travis. He says, Mike Wilbon says Bruce Pearl has become a divisive figure and he hopes someone forced him out. First, that didn't happen. Second, how was he divisive? The vast majority of people in the SEC agreed with everything he's ever said. That now opened up a whole can of worms. And we did a show about it. Right? Because not everybody has agreed with the stuff that he said. He then continues on. Awesome coach, great guy. He's a strong defender of Israel. Sure. But is that divisive? Only if you're free. Get this. Only if you're a free Palestine nut job. Pearl is actually a huge defender of religious liberty. Has always been. Disappointing attack from Wilbon. Now, what Clay just did here was totally disqualify himself from the conversation. He said, only if you're a free Palestine nut job. So if you're amongst the people that say free Palestine, then they should be disqualified. Then you have a problem. Because the very thing that you're fighting is what you're advocating for here. You're saying that Wilbon should be dealt with, or we should be done with him, or you're reprimanding him for his views that are opposing to yours, therefore saying your views should supersede. So anybody that disagrees with you is wrong? Come on, knock it off. Then who's to say that he doesn't have the right to believe you're wrong? So that was Clay Travis. He wasn't the only one. Another person chimed in. This is from Tim Brando. Good for Tony here. This show is the best of its kind, and this is why. As for Michael, even when I disagree, I've never found him to be crude, but he, in my opinion, was in this instance. Tony's reaction was priceless and brings the dialogue back to the center. It's good television. Another guy said, this is Danny Kennel. What a lame take. Wilbon puts on full display what's wrong in today's society. He used to like him. ? But because he made his political and religious views known, it makes him a divisive figure. Weak. Him too disqualified himself. Because you're disagreeing with him because of his views. Come on, knock it off, man. This is the games everybody's playing. Now, let's get to the meat and potatoes of all of this here. Okay? Let's get to the crux of all of this and give you guys my thoughts here. What did Michael Wilbon say for him to be labeled an anti-Semite? What? This is the question now to Greg, or if he ever sees it or anybody else that's aligned with his thinking. What did he say that is aligned that is in line with a person that is anti-Semitic? What's the thing that he said? In that 40, 50-second sound that we played, what's the thing that he said? Where did he even mention hostages? Let's take it a step further and see how, this is why it's not good to be labeling people up and down. Let me tell you why. Okay. Bruce Pearl was a big fan of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk has said some things that a lot of blacks find to be offensive. Is Bruce Pearl anti-black? By this line of thinking and by this way of doing things, you are saying that he is anti-black because he supports anti-black rhetoric to a certain extent, even though that's not all Charlie Kirk spoke about. And I don't want to distill him down to just those comments. Is that what you're saying? Well, you would say, no, there's more nuance to it. No, is it? So why is it more nuance when you're saying it, but then there's no nuance when the other person's saying it? I think Greg Carton jumped the gun here, number one. Number two, I think he doesn't have all the information. Because for him to go as far as he did by saying ESPN needs to fire him and saying he sounds like an anti-Semite, I believe you don't have all the information. I believe that you gave an emotional response to something that you haven't really researched thoroughly. It seems like you had a particular worldview in your brain. You heard of what Wilbon said, and you didn't hear everything that Pearl said. Because anybody that is, for example, watched this show that we just produced, and it took a lot of time to put it together, and we've given you all angles of this story, no one would walk away from this and say, oh man, Wilbon, and nobody would walk away from that. Unless that's what you want to think. Right? Unless that's what you truly want to believe. Divisive. He himself, Bruce Pearl, has used the word divisive. So him saying he's divisive, is it anything different than what Bruce Pearl has said? They both used the word. Next thing, political commentary. Bruce Pearl put his 2 feet inside the political arena and started talking about things about politics. So what's wrong with Wilbon doing the same? They're all in there together. They're at the heart of all of this. Personally, I believe it's all about, I believe I'm right. I believe you're wrong. Both sides. Both sides. There are people that can come after Bruce Pearl because I think he's anti-DEI and all of this stuff and all of that and this and this. Like, how can you be anti-DEI when the majority of your kids in your program are all minorities? I don't get it. How can you be against something that you benefited off? There's a whole bunch of different angles. But in terms of what Greg Carton is advocating here, I think he's absolutely off the money. I think he's off the money. I think he got way too riled up over nothing. And I don't think there's a single thing that Michael Wilbon said that would suggest for him to be labeled as an anti-Semite. But if you are willing to go that far and say, no, Charles, you are wrong, he is one, then I can easily say to you, you're anti-black. Or rather, Bruce Pearl is anti-black. And you're defending, or rather making light, or rather ignoring people that have said, people that support people that view, that have a low worldview of blacks. Do you see? Would you agree? If we're to accept your assertion that Wilbon is anti-Semitic, you must be willing to accept the assertion that you support those that are anti-black. Of course you wouldn't. You would say no, that's ridiculous. Then you would begin to explain yourself, right? That's what I'm doing here, and I think he jumped the gun way too quickly. Way too quickly. You threw out a term that did not even need to be thrown out. Yeah, I mean, you just didn't need to do that. Because I don't see, unless you have some new evidence or you have some new sound of where Wilbon specifically said, don't bring back the hostages or anything like that, then you need to just be quiet. You need to be quiet because I don't know where you're getting all of this from. Personally, I don't know where.